you could have stopped us in its tracks before we got too far.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think the story was there. They just didn't run with it. But that's just me.
All right. We ready to do this?
Yeah. Ready? All right, here we go, guys.
Let's do this thing.
Top 10.
So let me just... We'll post the top 50 wrestler list that made us think about this.
Yeah, we'll put it on Twitter and Instagram and stuff.
It has CM Punk is 44. It has... I mean... It's just so many people that I don't think... All-time greats, not necessarily worthy of being a top 50 wrestler.
Can I say it real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Kane is a top 10 guy. Like, what's he on that, 9?
Kane's 9. Yep.
9?
Yeah, I think it's a little not good. Rob Van Dam and Jeff Hardy are not better than Seth Rollins.
No. I don't, and look, I know, EC dub, like,
No.
yes, I get it. But that doesn't mean he's better.
Goldberg's not better than Seth Rollins. Mick Foley's not better than Seth Rollins.
No.
Rey Mysterio's not even close
You're
to
going to get
Seth
slack
Rollins.
for the McFoley one, but I agree.
Look, Mick Foley served a purpose,
Right.
and he was very good at that purpose.
He's not
But
better.
he's not a better wrestler than Seth Rollins.
Let's get into it.
All right.
Let's do it. Yeah, guys, so we're going to break it down. We're going to do bottom half and then top half. So I'll read my 10 through 6. He'll read his 10 through 6, discuss a little bit, and then we'll jump into the top 5, which is, what you're all dying to hear. All right, so my number 10 through number 6 is a little bit of a recency bias. Again.
Yeah, well, we haven't got to mine yet. So.
Yeah. Again, it's our favorites, so, look at this with an
yeah.
open mind.
Yeah.
My number 10 all time, AJ Styles. The phenomenal one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the resume speaks for itself.
Yep.
Number 9, Seth freaking Rollins.
Monday Night Messiah.
That's right. Number 9 all time. And if you thought that was shocking, number 8 all time. Your tribal chief, the head of the table. You will acknowledge him. That's right. The leader of the bloodline, Roman Reigns. Number 7 all time. The Rock. Boom. Only one spot above Roman, I know. Crazy. But Roman's on fire, and it's a favorites list.
Not a best
so
list.
give me a break. And number 6, rounding out my bottom half, the Game, the King of Kings, the Cerebral Assassin, Triple H. Happy birthday.
All right, so if you thought his bottom 5 were a little shocking, let's hold on to your seats a little bit.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Again, favorites list. Number 10, Adam Cole, baby.
Wow.
Adam Cole.
Number
is
10
number
all
10 all
time.
time for me.
Adam Cole,
I mean,
baby.
I know he hasn't been around for that long, especially in WWE. 1, a little biased. I saw him debut. I was there in person. A little bit biased. 2, I could watch his matches all day.
He's must-see
Literally
TV.
all day long and be fine.
And he's electric on the mic.
Number 9, CM Punk.
The voice of the voiceless.
The voice of the voiceless. I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about CM Punk in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
I was a fan. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
You don't have to explain it. People love it. That's it.
Number 8, phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Just the things he did, not only in WWE, but in
TNA
Impact, at the time. So don't get too mad about that. Number 7, The Undertaker.
Dead Man.
I know you're not the biggest Taker guy.
I appreciate the greatness. He's just not my
I was always a fan. I kind of not got into wrestling, but remember a lot of the big stuff of wrestling. His stuff with Edge and the Hell in a Cell, all that kind of stuff. The casket matches, the Buried Alive matches. That was a big part of my childhood for wrestling. So that's why he's 7. And then 6, same as you, The Game, Triple H.
Yeah.
It was so hard to not put him in top 10 of any wrestling list. You always have your guys, The Rock, Stone Cold, Bret Hart, Shawn, whoever you want. 14-time champion.
And so versatile, man.
The leader of Evolution, DX, so many different things. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, Authority, Triple H.
Yeah.
The guy is a phenomenal heel. I mean, a phenomenal character, a great worker. I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah.
Like, I could have convinced myself to put him higher on my list.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could have talked myself into it.
Yeah.
But those are my 10 through 6.
You want to go a
All
little
time.
back and forth here? 5.
Yeah, sure.
My number 5, contrary to what
To
may have
everything
come
we
across
say
in
on
the
this
first
podcast.
episode, my number 5 all time is none other than the rated R superstar, Edge. And I think I said it in the first episode. The reason his character was coming across bland to me was because he was one of my favorite all time.
Yeah, I think you did mention
And
that.
I love Edge. Edge was the coolest kid. Like, I'm a kid growing up. I see Edge. He's the coolest guy on TV. I could not get enough
absolutely.
Edge.
Yeah, no. Like,
Yeah.
even growing, like I said, Taker and Edge, Hell in a Cell, all
Yeah.
the great stuff that Edge did. Edge at New Year's Revolution.
Spear Mick Foley through the table. Oh my god!
Oh, one of my personal favorite matches.
Yeah.
One of my friends has that on either DVD or like VCR.
Yeah,
So
It's-
we've watched that so many times, just that whole pay-per-view.
yeah,
So that's definitely a match that sticks out in my mind. So yeah, no, Edge at 5 is
Yeah.
a good choice.
absolutely.
For me,
yeah, it's here.
number 5, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Wow,
I know it's a little low for a lot of people.
only one spot
Um,
above Triple H.
Yeah, yeah.
Keeping the team together.
Yeah, keeping them
Keeping-
together. You know,
keeping the
gotta
band
keep them near each
together.
other. You know, I always liked Shawn, but he was never like one of my guys. I was never like, yeah, I'm a Shawn Michaels guy.
Yeah,
But you know, you have to acknowledge his greatness in the ring.
Mr. WrestleMania.
We'll talk about. Actually, you want me to just jump to 4 too?
Yeah,
and
go
then
ahead.
you can go.
You
We'll
can
go
go-
back
yeah,
and forth like
it's a
that.
little snake
we'll snake
draft.
it. Ties into number 5 is the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla,
Number 4.
Chris Jericho.
Jericho.
Another big
Break
feud
the
that I
walls
remember from my
down.
childhood was
Yeah.
Jericho putting Shawn through the TV.
Yeah.
And that whole match. And
Yeah.
then the whole thing with Shawn working for JBL.
Yeah.
And, you know, super kicking Cena and JBL and then putting JBL on top of Cena. So all that stuff. And then,
This is
not
all,
to do too much
yeah.
of H, but to jump back to Jericho, I mean, so many characters. And
Yeah.
he was a little before my time of when I remember, and then he kind of left and came
Yeah.
back. But even his like newer stuff in WWE, like the List, I think the List might be his
List-
best gimmick ever.
Right. So Y2J, all that, but the list, man. And again, it's a little recency bias, but the list was hilarious.
The List was amazing,
And-
and then his whole thing with the.
You just made the list.
I know a lot of people had said this that his like the Festival of Friendship was one of the best gimmicks, the best segments Raw done in like a long,
Yeah.
long time, and it was. And unfortunately, they kind of got shafted when it came to their position on the WrestleMania card. That's kind of how it goes, but yeah, Jericho at 4.
I mean, the Jericho Shawn Michaels tie that you have there is funny, and you guys will see why. But my number 4, none other than the Viper, the Legend Killer, rated RKO, keeping them together, keeping the band
Keeping them together.
But man, Randy, has anybody been as good for as long as Randy Orton? Has anyone been as consistent as Randy Orton? And look,
I don't honestly no.
yeah, I don't think
I don't
so.
think there's anyone who's done it this long at this high
No.
of a level.
And look, I get it. Randy gets in his mood sometimes
Yeah.
where he doesn't enjoy the booking, he
clocks
doesn't
out.
want to work, he clocks out.
He uses PTO.
But honestly, the only reason Randy's 4 and not 1 for me is because of that. Because Randy, when he's on, is the best wrestler of all time.
I think he is.
When Randy's on, he is the best of all time.
Who said that? Jim Ross, and then
Oh, he
Kenny
might
lost
have.
his mind.
I don't- yeah,
Isn't
he-
that the whole thing happened?
You're actually right. That is what
Yeah,
happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, Randy, every feud when he's invested is must see TV. I mean,
absolutely.
him and Drew. I know recently, that was phenomenal. I mean, he carried Raw for the better part of 5 months on a feud with Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
And then before that with the Fiend or whatever it was, like he's good. He even still to this day is good.
Yep.
Not even to mention all the things he was doing. The Legend Killer was one of the most iconic characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Of all time.
yeah, of all time. And then number 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yeah.
breaking into the top 3.
Yeah.
The beer drinking, ass kicking Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, there's a legitimate case for this guy to be number 1 on every list. If he would have, stayed a little healthier,
Yep.
if they didn't pile drive his neck in, yeah. If he was healthy and he did it for a little bit longer, he would probably be number 1 on almost every list.
He'd be up there for a
The
while,
guy
yeah.
is,
He'd definitely be.
he's a top 5,
I think-
no dispute.
It's one of those things where it might keep him out of like the GOAT conversation
Right, because of how
how
short it was.
short it was and the injuries and
But you want
If he was healthy,
yeah,
he's probably.
and you want to talk about a like iconic run, like the formative like attitude era of WWE. Is anything more relatable than I get to work and I just want to beat the crap out of my boss?
Exactly.
Is there anything I
Yeah.
just get to work, I beat my boss up, I drink a beer? Is there anything cooler?
Especially when like during that era. I mean, I wasn't like around. I wasn't
Yeah.
alive, but like. It was whole that like, oh, I sit at my job and I type on
Yeah,
my typewriter kind of
exactly.
thing. Oh, I hate this guy who's like making.
Oh,
And
why
that was
I
so
wanna...
yeah, it's so relatable with at the time. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, love Stone Cold. So go ahead, man. Take
My
it.
number 3 is also Stone Cold.
Whoa.
So yeah,
You
so
don't say.
good transition there.
Breaking
Yeah.
into
So
the top
like I said,
3.
I wasn't really around for Stone Cold, and he's probably one of the only people on this list that I went back and it was like, hey, this guy was the man.
Yeah.
Because like at the time, like I wasn't really into wrestling the same way, or if I was, I don't remember it as well. Like most of my stuff I remember is like 2007 later, so like around WrestleMania 25, that kind of period. So yeah, Stone Cold going back, you know, the beer truck, the stuff with Tyson, all that iconic stuff.
And just the feud with him and The Rock.
Yeah.
The feud with him and The Rock, I don't know if there's been a feud since that is as must-see TV.
No, it's hard now because you have like we'll take Roman,
You work within your
but you don't
restraints.
have your Stone Cold.
Right. So
You
have
like you don't have two iconic characters like
Right.
that, right? And you could make the argument for Roman and Cena, but Roman's not there yet.
Mhm.
Cena's there. Cena's been there. He is
Yeah.
that level of, but Roman's not. I don't care how good Roman is right now.
Yeah.
He's not that much of a presence yet.
I mean, for the fans, like for the WWE
For the
universe,
for the
the-
people that watch.
yeah, then yes,
Yeah.
like he's immersed, but he doesn't have that mainstream traction
Exactly.
that The Rock and Stone Cold brought.
Exactly.
Stone Cold is like a public figure.
Yeah.
Like people that don't watch wrestling, that never watch wrestling, know Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It was like The Rock and Hogan.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It was like people that didn't even know wrestling would be like, I know those guys.
Yeah.
Like this must be something.
Yeah.
Where like if they see Roman Reigns and Cena, they'll be like, oh, I know Cena, but I might
Yeah.
not know this Roman
Right.
guy.
Which is again, it's a testament to how great Stone Cold was in such a short amount of time. So that's why I think you might even agree that a little bit longer Stone Cold
Probably
moves
works it.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, Seth freaking Rollins. Again, there's another story behind the bias. One, I think Seth will be the greatest wrestler of all time by the end.
Yeah.
By the end of it, it's kind of, if he keeps up at this pace, it's kind of hard to say no.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get a little more titles under his belt, pun intended.
Right.
But yeah, the story though is I was also there when he came back from his injury. I was at Extreme Rules, almost threw my shoulder out cheering.
Yeah.
So again, there is that moment now that I'm like, yeah, I was there for that. Like, not many people can say that. So like, there's that bias on top of the fact that he's such a good performer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The funny
Seth at
thing,
number 2.
the funny thing about you seeing Seth at Extreme Rules, I went to Extreme Rules when it was the Shield versus Evolution for the last time, and I was like an arm's length away from Seth Rollins jumping off the entrance,
That's so cool.
the tunnel. Dude, it's so good. And just to build up that a little bit, Seth was a little lower on my list, but it's hard to argue the guy's in-ring ability, and he's adapted to these characters. He's made it work, and quite frankly, he is probably the most versatile superstar on the roster right now.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that, it's not insane to say that Seth Rollins, with another, continuing the career trajectory that he has, is going to be the greatest of all time. I don't think that's crazy.
I don't
to
think
say.
that's a crazy statement. I'm not saying he is right now. That would be a little bit much.
Right.
But if he keeps going, I think it's hard to say no.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's wrap up my list here. What I was saying that was kind of funny is my number 2 is none other than Y2J. My personal opinion, man, the greatest mic worker in the history of professional wrestling. Chris Jericho could sell ice in the winter. He could sell raid to a bug. He could go down the list. Chris Jericho is the best mic worker. And then to complement the mic work, Chris Jericho is a phenomenal performer in the ring.
He's a great performer.
And look, Chris Jericho now, he's doing his own thing with AEW. He's still making gimmicks work. He's still getting people over. The Inner Circle was the most popular thing ever. But just looking back on the feuds that Chris Jericho had, the title runs Chris Jericho had, you see the Intercontinental Championship, you think of Chris Jericho, you think of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Like, he's an iconic superstar. And Chris Jericho, another one of those guys, during that era, he was transcendent. He was bigger than WWE.
Yep.
You had Jerichoholics, the Y2 Jericho. People were all about it. And then, rounding out my top 10 list, I'm sure it's not a surprise to many of you. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, the Showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, revolutionized the super kick. I mean, he's tuning up the band. Before he even became the Heartbreak Kid, the Rockers, he's just... Yeah. Shawn Michaels, an underrated mic worker.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people talk about his mic work. He was really good on the mic.
A phenomenal mic worker.
Really good on the mic.
So underrated on the mic. And he's one of those guys, he lived the character. He was the Heartbreak Kid. He was Shawn Michaels. And, you watch, like, the documentary about it, that it had its negative effects on him. But on TV, like, to me, the most captivating superstar. Like, I gotta watch. And he was, like, the pivotal point, the turning point where, I'm not saying Shawn Michaels is a little guy, because he's not a little guy by any means. He's, normal, average-sized guy, big, jacked up. But he was, like, the guy that turned the tide where he's believable beating these big guys. Like, we were just talking about Dakota Kai and Raquel, like, Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Like, it's crazy.
It's like, in any other situation, I'm like, oh, yeah, that big guy actually beats the crap out of this guy. But you're like, oh, yeah, Shawn could do that. Shawn would definitely beat him.
The most iconic heel turn and tag team breakup of all time with The Rock. Like, Shawn Michaels, man, I cannot say enough good things. And I'm happy he's still involved with the company and NXT, because a great wrestling mind like that, a great character like that, everyone could, learn a little bit.
Absolutely.
And, just as an aside, you listen to these NXT superstars talk, everybody, my dream match would be Shawn Michaels. My dream match would be Shawn Michaels. It's widely respected that Shawn Michaels is, maybe not everybody's, but at least has a case for the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's mine.
Going on to my number one. There's another story behind this one, but it was actually after he became my number one. The Viper Randy Orton.
Boom.
Like we said, if Randy didn't have his moments, he's probably the undisputed GOAT.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't think that even mattered. I could go through a long list of tremendous feuds he's been in with. I mean, Cena, Edge, Taker, Batista, H, Flair. Like, I could keep going. His Ray and Kurt Angle, phenomenal. His feud with Christian was great. And Christian stinks.
Christian.
Anyway. Yeah. But, I mean, also, I did meet Randy once at SummerSlam. Yeah. Signed my shirt. Nice guy.
A little biased.
Little bit biased, but it is a favorites list, so I'm allowed to be biased.
Yep.
But, yeah, Randy, doing it for years, consistently, has been healthy.
Yeah.
Physically healthy.
For most of it.
Yeah. I know he had some collarbone stuff, but mostly physically healthy.
Yeah.
He's my number one.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against Randy. I mean, I just sung his praise, just a few minutes ago about how great he is. You got no gripes from me. I can't slander Randy at all. I love Randy. The funny thing about Randy is we went to a live show, though, and he was scheduled to wrestle Rey Mysterio. Randy comes out, and when I tell you, puts forth the most minimal effort. He just walks around the ring. He gets rolled up, loses 1, 2, 3, probably 2.5 minutes. Gets up to the ramp as if it wasn't disrespectful enough to not try. Turns around and flips off the whole crowd. And, like, you talk about a heel getting over. I should hate him for wasting my time. Yeah. But no, I love Randy.
And it's funny, too, because I had a completely opposite experience. I was at a
the
house
polar
show.
Opposite. Yeah.
And him and Bray come out after the show and tear it down for like 25 minutes.
Yep.
So it's so funny, just like
it kind of goes to the testament of what we said, though.
Yeah,
when
he wants to work, Randy works. Like I think the perfect example, and the one that most people have seen recently, is Drew.
Yeah, he wanted to work with Drew.
He wanted to work with Drew. Otherwise, one, that wouldn't have been 5 months.
Yeah.
And two, Randy would have clocked out.
Yeah.
Randy would have done his job, collected his money, and went home.
See you
But
later.
you could tell that Randy wanted to work with Drew. There was
Yeah.
something about Drew that Randy liked.
Yep.
And I think the same thing with Riddle. There's something about Riddle that
That he
Randy
likes,
likes.
and
That's
he
why
wants
he's
to work.
putting this effort there.
Yeah, little honorable mentions for me. Just real quick, bang them out, no specific order. I had Kurt Angle real close.
Mm.
Kurt Angle almost broke through. John Cena, of course.
Yeah,
And-
not that one.
I honestly, if you told me to make this list again, there's a chance Cena makes it. So I don't know. Those are two big ones for me that were standing out that didn't make the list. But
I think the notables that were left off my list, Cena being one of them.
Mm.
No Rock. I was
Yeah.
never a big Rock guy. I respect what he's done. Just never a big Rock guy. I think a big one for both of us was Bret Hart.
yeah, and that's not a slight. I love the Hitman, and I love everything the Hitman worked and did. But it's your 10 favorites.
Yeah,
It's your 10 favorites.
Yeah, you got to draw the cutoff line somewhere.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, some of those guys just didn't make the cut.
it's a lot harder than you think when you start writing.
I was
names
sitting
out.
down and I'm like, oh man, I got to stick by this list
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
These are my 10, and here
So
it is.
once I started talking about how bad that list of 50 was, I realized it's not as easy as it
not
looks.
as easy as it looks, but still better than what they put out.
Yeah.
Because that was
Yeah.
really bad.
So we'll post our lists.
Yep.
Let us know what you guys think if you like them.
Let us know your lists.
Who do you think is better? Yeah, give us your list.
Give us your list. Whose
Um,
list do you agree with more?
Yeah, we'll post the 50 list so you guys can see it.